June 16th, 2026, Tuesday. This is Bright Chicken Trader. Okay, let's check out the macro region first. Growth. Inflation, jobs, rates, credit and liquidity. Credit and liquidity is still very strong. %60%. Liquidity. Bull flattener. Tenure, 2-year. Okay. We are still in reflation regime. Yield curve indicates that we're in bull flattener, which means tenure is falling faster than 2-year. But tenure rebounded yesterday. Let's move on to It's strange. It's technology. Technology. Tech sector had a really green day yesterday. Mostly semiconductor. Jesus. Technology, communications, financials, consumer cyclical, industrial, healthcare, energy, utility, real estate, basic materials, and consumer defensive. All red days. Oil retreats toward $80 per barrel mark after President Trump announced the U.S. and Iran have reached a peace agreement to be signed Friday. Solid leadership from mega cap tech brought strength, pushed Dow Jones to all-time high. The stock market started a holiday abbreviated week on a sharply higher note as a pullback in oil prices culminated in relatively broad gains and strong leadership from mega cap and tech names. S&P, Nasdaq, Dow Jones trade in narrow range after the initial oil-driven opening gains, with the Dow Jones securing fresh all-time high levels. SPY, QQQ, Dow Jones, Hydrogen. They made a great red candles yesterday though. Yesterday's announcement from President Trump that the US and Iran have reached a peace agreement which will include the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz and lifting Iran's naval blockade provided the spark for a constructive session today. The deal is expected to be signed on Friday in Switzerland, while questions remain around some of the tougher issues, including Iran's nuclear program. The market was satisfied by the progress and the subsequent slide in oil prices. Could oil futures settle the session at $80.9 per barrel? Importantly, megacap and tech stock took part in the rally after some choppiness across the group last week. The information technology sector finished with the widest gain, supported by 5.5% advance across components of the Felix Semiconductor Index. Nvidia reclaimed its 50-day moving average, while memory name Western Digital, Micron, and Seagate Tech were among the top performing S&P 500 names. Meta Platform and Amazon were among the other mega-cap standouts. Each of the communication services and consumer discretionary sectors also finished near the top of the leaderboard. Vanguard and mega-cap growth ETF finished 2.8% higher. Though not yet a component of the S&P 500, SpaceX traded sharply higher again in its second trading day, putting its total gain at roughly 40% above its IPO price. People are really buying this piece of shit company. God damn it. You're right. Outside the mega-cap realm, oil and rate-sensitive stocks contributed to today's rally amid the pullback in crude prices. DoorDash was on S&P 500 standard, while a host of cruise lines and other travel-related names also contributed to the strength in the consumer discretionary sector. The industrial sector was another top mover, bolstered by strong performance across airline names and electrical product names, which have become increasingly linked to semiconductor performance. Meanwhile, the energy sector faced a sharp retreat amid the oil pullback. While more defensive-oriented real estate, healthcare, and consumer staple sectors also underperformed as growth stocks surged today. Although it was not a relatively quiet session, as a lack of corporate news kept their major averages trading near their opening highs for most of the day. Retreat in oil prices improved sentiment across the market and helped alleviate some inflation and growth concern. With the mega cap and technology sectors, stocks gained their footing after a volatile previous week. US Treasury started the week on a positive note, though some intraday backtracking left the complex with only a portion of its initial gains. What? The 2-year note yield settled down 2 basis points to 4.07%, and the 10-year note yield settled down to 2 basis points to 4.47%. Reviewing today's data, June Empire State Manufacturing, blah blah blah. May industrial production 0.1%. Prior was revised to 0.9% from 0.7%. May capacity utilization 76.2%. The key takeaway from the report is that manufacturing output moved sideways in May, reflecting a cooling down after some solid activity in April. June NAHB housing market the market expectation of 14, indicating a notable slowdown in regional manufacturing activity according to firm survey in Empire State Manufacturing Survey. Despite the weaker headline reading, several underlying indicators show continued expansion. New orders and shipment both rose, while unfilled order also increased. However, supply chain pressure persisted, with delivery times lengthening and supply availability continuing to deteriorating. Labor market conditions remain firm, with employment expanding for a fifth consecutive month and average work week also increasing. Meanwhile, inflationary pressure remain elevated as both input and selling price increase stay strong. Looking ahead, firms maintain a broadly optimistic outlook for business conditions over the coming months, despite near-term moderation in activity. Industrial production in the United States increased by 0.1% in May, falling short of market expectation of a 0.3% rise, following an upwardly revised 0.9% increase in April. Manufacturing, of which accounted for about 78% of total industrial production, was unchanged in May after rising 0.7% in April, also missing forecast for 0.2% gain. Mining production increased 1.3%. Utility output decreased by 0.7% as a 1.7 drop in electric utility output more than offset 8.5% increase in natural gas utility output. Capacity utilization edged up to 76.2%, a level 3.2% points below its long-run average. In the HB Housing Market Index, which tracks U.S. home builder confidence in the market for newly built single-family homes, fell to 35 in June 2026, down from 37 in May, and slightly below market expectation of 36. Within the report, current sales condition declined by 2 points to 38, while sales expectation for the next 6 months remain unchanged at 45. Buyer traffic also held steady at a weak level of 25, signaling persistently soft demand. The survey also highlighted continued reliance on pricing strategies. 35% of builders reported cutting prices in June, up to 32% in May. The average price reduction remained at 6%, unchanged month over month. In addition, The use of sales incentive ticked up to 62% from 61%, making the 15th consecutive month that more than 60% of builders have offered incentive to attract buyers. Yeah, that's the home builder confidence has been declining for several years actually. That's COVID was really high, but okay. US stock futures drifted flat to slightly lower on Tuesday as investors awaited the Federal Reserve's first policy meeting and the new chair, Kevin Warsh, with the central bank widely expected to keep interest rates unchanged. Markets also remain focused on geopolitical developments amid expectation that the US and Iran will sign a peace agreement in Switzerland on Friday, a move that could lead to the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz. In regular trading on Monday, the Dow, blah, 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 7 of the 11 S&P sectors ended higher, with tech, communication services, and consumer discretionary stocks leading the gains. Sentiment was boosted after President whenever I say his name, I feel like I'm gonna puke. Sentiment was boosted after President Donald Trump announced that the US and Iran had reached an agreement to end the war in the Middle East. Crude oil traded below 82 per barrel on Tuesday after tumbling nearly 5% in the previous session. As investors awaited further details of the reported U.S.-Iran peace agreement that could reopen the Strait of Hormuz, the interim accord is expected to be signed in Switzerland on Friday, with President Donald Trump saying the free flow of oil from the Persian Gulf will resume once the deal takes effect. However, neither Washington nor Tehran has released the text of the memorandum of understanding, leaving markets cautious and prompting shipping companies to delay sending vessels through the route until greater clarity emerges. Oil markets have been heavily disrupted since the conflict began in late February of gold traded above as expected. The U.S.-Iran peace agreement will reopen the trade formats ease fears of an ever energy-driven inflation shock that had fueled interest rate hike expectation. The interim accord is expected to be signed by both sides in Switzerland on Friday, with President Trump saying, however, neither Washington nor Tehran has released the text of the memorandum of understanding, leaving investigations. Market also look ahead to a series of central bank policy decisions this week, with the Federal Reserve set to hold its first meeting under new chair Kevin Warsh and widely expected to leave interest rates unchanged. The dollar index steady around 99 days after weakening. The Reflation investors turned their focus from the U.S.-Iran peace deal announcement to Federal Reserve's upcoming policy meeting. The central bank is widely expected to leave interest rates unchanged at its first meeting under new chair Kevin Warsh. Still, policymakers face a challenging backdrop, with recent inflation data coming in hotter than expected as the conflict with Iran drove energy prices higher. Investors also looked ahead to policy decisions from central banks in Japan, Australia, the UK, and other major economies in this week. On Monday, the dollar came under pressure after President Donald Trump as blah blah blah. The fuck you. 이 정신 나간 놈들은 누구지? The yield on the 10-year U.S. Treasury note held around 4.47 Tuesday after easing the precision. The central bank exchange was unchanged. His first meeting on the new chair, Kevin Warsh. Still, the Fed faces a challenging backdrop, with recent inflation data coming in harder than expected as the conflict with Iran pushed energy prices higher. Investors also awaited a policy decision from central banks in Japan, Australia, the UK, and other major economies. This week, on Monday, Treasury yields declined after President Donald Trump announced that the U.S. has reached a peace agreement with Iran that will restore access through the Strait of Hormuz, allaying inflation and rate hike worries. There's Still I mean, what do you mean still inferior? Like, market momentum is extreme great again. Net new 52 weeks highs and lows on noisy. Core ratio. Okay, volatility. That's strange. Noisy press was negative yesterday, while Nasdaq was green, healthy, 46%. Had some divergence between Noisy and Nasdaq, probably because of the stupid SpaceX, I think. Positive. Rising. Microtransformations oscillator is going on actually. Momentum. Declining. MACD. $80 actually went down yesterday. Positive. Volume is a little bit neutral. Put-call ratio 0.53. Still rising. Low. Positive rising. S&P 50. T100 MAs. Oh. fix 16.2. Declining. Move index. Somehow skew is rising. Huh. But why noisy tick hit extreme oversold level? That doesn't make any sense. XLK is the leader. XLC is pulling back, but still very negative. XLF XLY, XLI, XLB, XLV, XLP actually is holding strong relatively. XLE, XLU, XHB. Okay, let's move on to futures. ES weekly momentum still bullish. Market structure is still bullish. Testing all-time high actually. And daily chart momentum is still bearish. Market structure wise, neutral. It definitely made low, but it's testing. It peaked above previous all-time high. I don't know what its next move is gonna be like. Momentum is very bullish. Market structure wise, bullish. Okay, crude oil. Wow. Weekly momentum is bearish. Chart pattern is still bearish, but it might be testing the support. Momentum is bearish. Market structure bearish. Hourly chart momentum is neutral. Weekly momentum is bearish. Market structure wise, still in a bearish trend. Daily chart momentum is actually it's calling off here. Market structure wise, still bearish. Hourly chart momentum is market structure wise is bullish. 어, 2026년 6월 16일 화요일 용감한당 용답 브레이브 체크인의 데일리 마켓 애널리시스 요약 시작해보죠. 매크로 리즘은 여전히 Reflation, 그 다음에 bull, flattener 이 단계에 와 있어요 지금. 예. 성장, inflation 동반 상승하는 Reflation. 그 다음에 yield curve는 지금 10년물이 그 bull flattener인데 10년물이 2년물보다 좀 더 빠르게 하락하는 모습을 지금 보여주고 있어요. 아무래도 둘 중에 하나 그 인플레이션 우려가 줄어들거나 아니면 경기 후퇴에 대한 우려 둘 중에 하나일 텐데 지금으로 봐서는 아직은 성장이 굉장히 강한 추세이고 인플레이션은 조금 그거보다는 약하기 때문에 인플레이션에 대한 우려가 지금 예전보다 크지 않다 뭐 이렇게 보고 있어서 뭐 플랫너 이걸 만드는 게 아닌가 뭐 이런 생각이 들고 있어요 지금. 그 다음에 두 번째 그 시장에서 시장을 움직이는 이야기들. 그 첫 번째는 뭐 어제 나왔던 얘기죠. 그 미국과 이란이 평화협정에 금요일에 사인할 것이다. 이게 나와 있고, 근데 이제 양측 누구도 그 양해각서의 텍스트를 공개하고 있지는 않고 있어요 지금. 정확하게 어떤 합의가 이루어졌는지 내용을 아직 알고 있지는 못하다. 그리고 중요한 건 그 이스라엘 네타냐후가 말을 안 들어요 지금. 계속 그 레바논을 공격하고 있는데 이게 어떻게 될지 그게 조금 관전 포인트라고 관전이라니까 좀 이상하네. 좀 눈여겨봐야 할 점 이렇게 얘기하면 될 것 같아요. 무슨 내용이 들어있는지, 그리고 과연 트럼프가 네타냐후를 컨트롤할 수 있을지. 나는 컨트롤하기 쉽지 않다. 네타냐후는 자기 정치 생명이 달려 있는데 쉽게 말을 들을 이유가 없죠. 예. 그리고 그 이스라엘 내부에서도 아마 이 전쟁이 계속 되어야 된다. 특히 이제 헤즈볼라는 이 기회에 반드시 제거해야 된다. 뭐 이 기류가 더 강한 것 같아요. 내가 지정학 전문가가 아니어서 읽은 내용만 얘기해 보면 지금 현재 분위기는 그렇다. 예. 그리고 오히려 그 이 MOU가 되게 하는데 네타냐후가 큰 실수를 했다. 뭐 자세한 내용에는 다른 뉴스를 보시고 확인해 보시고. 예. 그래서 그 MOU의 내용이 무엇인지, 그 다음에 이스라엘 과연 통제가 될 것인지, 그게 눈여겨봐야 될 점인데 쉽지 않을 것이다. 예, 이렇게 생각하고 있어요. 그리고 어제 Strong Leadership from Tech Stock, 특히 이제 반도체주가 다시 급상승을 했죠. 그 마이크론 보니까 다시 신고가 찍고 있던데, 예. 아직도 매니의 사람들이, 예, 반도체 주식으로 돈을 벌고 싶어하는 광풍이 아직 사그러들지 않았다. 그다음에 이번 주 수요일이죠. The Fed is expected to keep interest rates unchanged at its first meeting under Kevin Warsh. 새 의장 케빈 월시 주재하로 첫 번째 미팅이 수요일에 있는데, 뭐 금리를 동결할 것이다는데 거의 대부분 합의가 있는 것 같고, 단지 케빈 월시가 무슨 얘기를 하느냐, 뭐 이거죠. 글쎄요. 반반인 것 같아요. 근데 아무래도 그 더비쉬 비둘기파적인 얘기를 조금 하지 않을까요? 예. 트럼프가 심은 사람인데 예상은 그렇게 되는데, 한번 지켜봐야 될 것 같아요. 마켓 브레스, CNN Fear and Greed 42일, 아직 Fear 이 구간에 있긴 있는데 곧 Fear 구간을 벗어나서 Greed 쪽으로 가지 않을까. 지금 시장 랠리가 다시 이렇게 된다 그러면. 그리고 breadth, momentum, advance, decline, up and down volume 전부 다 positive 하면서 rising 하고 있는데 모멘텀은 내려가고 있어요 아직. 예. 그다음에 high low positive rising. S&P 500 기업 중에서 50일, 100일, 200일선 위에 있는 주식들 포지티브한 영역에 있는데 좀 무빙 사이드에 어제 크게 상승할 줄 알았더니 보니까 의외로 그 레드 캔들을 만들었어요. 음봉을 만들었더라고요. 그리고 조금 왜 그러지? 그런 약간 의아한 느낌이 있긴 있는데 그 데이터 하나 가지고 뭐라고 판단하기 좀 힘들 것 같고, 빅스 계속 내려오고 있고, 푸코 레이쇼 이동평균선으로는 아직 올라가고 있어요. 예, 수치상으로 내려오고 있지만, 그 다음에 크레딧 스프레드 아직 타이트하고, 그 전반적으로 개선이 되고 있다. 크게 뭐 얘기할 게 별로 없어요. 예. 그 다음에 섹터도 특별히 눈에 띄는 점은 없고, 아직 XLK 주도주인 거, 주도 섹터이다. 그 다음에 선물은 지금 ES는 뉴트럴. What the fuck is that? Hold up. ES는 뉴트럴. 예. 데일리 차트의 모멘텀은 아직 bearish. 마켓 스트럭처는 뉴트럴. 왜 그러냐면 이쪽 부분이 이쪽 로우를 뚫고 내려왔어요. 로우를 만들었는데 지금 다시 하이어 하이를 만들고 있어서 지금 마켓 스트럭처상으로는 뉴트럴이라고 지금 보고 있어요. 이게 페이크아웃이 될 것인지, 아니면 여기서 풀백해서 계속 상승할지, 그거는 조금 더 지켜봐야 될 것 같고, 아직 숏은 진행 중. 그 다음에 원유 뉴트럴. 데일리 차트의 모멘텀은 bearish, 마켓 스트럭처도 bearish, 아울리 차트는 뉴트럴. 왜 뉴트럴이라고 하냐면 이쪽 부분이 지금 이쪽 부분에 약간 지지 구간이 있어요. 지금 여기 예. 이쪽 부분에 지지 구간이 있어서 이쪽을 확실히 뚫고 내려가느냐, 그거를 좀 지켜봐야 될 것 같아요. 그리고 어제 그 가격의 움직임을 봤는데 갭다운을 했는데 계속 내려가지 않고 사이드웨이로 가더라고요, 이게. 그래서 조금 느낌이 이상하다, 이거. 그리고 commitment of trader, 그 COT 데이터를 살펴봤는데 그 이제 commercial 얘들이 지금 숏을 다 커버하고 롱으로 가고 있는 것 같아요, 지금. 그래서 이쪽이 지지 구간이어서 이쪽에 반등이 일어날 것 같은 느낌이 들더라고요. 차트 구조만 보면 베어리시한 건 맞는데 이쪽에서 왠지 이렇게 바닥을 만들고 있는 그런 모습이에요, 지금. 그래서 우선은 뉴트럴이라고 보고 있고, 만약 이 구간에서 이쪽을 뚫고 올라가기 시작한다, 그러면 다시 롱을 시작해 볼 수도 있을 것 같아요. 골드는 slightly long biased. daily momentum은 neutral. 마켓 스트럭처는 daily 차트로 보면 아직 bearish한데 hourly 차트로 보면 momentum은 neutral. 마켓 스트럭처는 bullish예요. 지금 계속 이쪽을 뚫고 올라가면서 higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low를 지금 만들고 있어요. 지금 이렇게 살짝 이렇게 풀백을 할 수도 있을 것 같은데 지금 이 5일선 여기까지 풀백 한다 그러면 그리고 나서 가격이 여기서 지지를 받으면서 다시 이렇게 상승하려고 하는 모양이 보이면 그때 롱을 해볼 수 있을 것 같아요 지금. 근데 확신이 강한 건 아니고 그냥 slightly long bias. 그러니까 여기서 롱을 한다는 게 아니라 내려와서 어느 쪽에서 지지를 받는 게 확실히 보여지면 그때 롱을 해야 될 것 같아요. 그리고 혹시 뭐 보시는 분이 거의 없긴 한데 지금 이거는 제가 아침에 갖고 있는 바이어스예요 보통. 근데 이제 아시아 세션 지나고 런던 세션 지나고 뉴욕 세션 들어가면서 그때 이제 차트의 모양이나 어떤 모멘트 이런 게 바뀌거나 또는 다른 뉴스가 나오면 이 바이어스는 바뀔 수 있어요. 예. 그러니까 이거는 지금 현 상황에서의 바이어스지 이게 하루 종일 제가 갖고 있는 바이어스가 아니라는 거. 그거를 염두에 두시기 바랍니다. 오늘은 여기까지 하죠. 예. That's it for today. Have a good trade and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye.